get there up on the screen. Our main story, our starting story: Trump ambushes South Africa's president, Cyril Ramaphosa. Cyril Ramaphosa sounds like some sort of colon cancer, doesn't it? It sounds like a really bad form of colon cancer. And you know what? He kind of looks like a colon polyp to me. The face on this absolute anti-white pig. And this is as bad as it gets. This guy and the totality of the South African government are bloodthirsty, anti-white psychopaths. And they can look you right in the face, along with other anti-whites, and laugh and smile. And this is so prototypical of anti-white blacks in South Africa, with this big, happy smile and this boisterous laugh. They're like, ha, 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 ha. Of course you're not murdering the white people. And they are. They are. And across the board today, even as the president of the United States and his entire staff puts this guy on the spot and his entire delegation so that he squirms in his seat like the anti-white viper that this bitch is. He should have been imprisoned while here for crimes against humanity. They shouldn't allow this delegation to return to South Africa. They should arrest them right now for crimes against humanity. You're going nowhere, and we're going to prop you right up into the United Nations, which we paid for, so we're going to get the results that we want. And you're going to be executed for crimes against humanity. There is nowhere where there are more laws against a particular race than South Africa. Nowhere. Check it out for yourself. Maybe I've somehow got the reading wrong. We know the anti-whites, and this is what I wanted to say a moment ago, across the board with the president of the United States, the entire state of the federal government supplying the data for white erasure in South Africa, detailing the murders, detailing the government agencies, detailing the governmental parties, detailing the governmental personalities, the elected representatives in South Africa, chanting to kill the white man, kill the farmer, kill the Boer. That's what it is. That's what they're chanting. In stadium after stadium, 50,000, 100,000 chanting over and over again. And the consequences all around, they didn't even get into the Oval Office. I'm getting so far ahead of myself because I find this so infuriating. But today, a very happy day. But all across the board in the media, and I could show, if I had time, if I had the inclination, I could show you all of the major media saying that it's debunked. Nothing is happening to white people in South Africa, but President Trump still humiliated Ramaphosa, colorectal cancer Ramaphosa, in the Oval Office. It was a beautiful sight to behold. But we have some criticism. We'll get to the criticism. But I want to jump in here right at the very start and say, man, this tastes so good. This is a W day. It's a real big W day. A V day for vengeance. A V day. This absolute pig, Ramaphosa, actually said to Trump, and we'll get to it in just a moment, where is this? Where is it? You really have to see this in its full context, the full anti-white context, what's actually happening there. Trump says, I don't know. It's in South Africa, your country. You're the president. What do you mean, where is this? We got to talk about the ramifications because they're colossal. And I'm not talking about ramifications for positive things that we're going to celebrate here. Ramifications for negative things for our future if we don't focus on ourselves and come together as a people. In a shocking moment during President Trump's meeting with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa on Wednesday, Trump requested that videos be displayed purporting to show you could have, in the anti-white narrative in which we live in, you could have a single Jew show up. You could have a single Arab show up. You could have a single black person show up from anywhere on planet Earth and make a monstrous claim about victimization at the hands of the white race, and it is immediately believed. In fact, we just had the Supreme Court rule that you cannot evict from the country members of a designated terrorist organization without due process, without them having the rights and privileges of all citizens, without any of the responsibility or debt that you have to pay on your side to the state to get those rights and responsibility or privileges from the state, that they still have to be heard and any of their claims are immediately accepted. You have since 94 this bloodthirsty anti-white regime butchering the white race, and the evidence in voluminous mounds for the world to see, and nothing being said. In fact, the anti-whites always denying, and then you start right off in this Axios article, always denying that it's the case. What did the anti-whites do? If something like this is happening, the anti-whites first say, and as long as they can, it's not happening. You're crazy if you say it's happening. It's a conspiracy theory. Makes you a conspiracy theorist. If you want to claim that something like that is happening, you're making black people look bad. So you are a racist, a quote unquote racist. And then once they can't claim any of that anymore, the evidence is too great, and you still haven't gotten there yet here, they'll say, well, okay, it's happening, but it's not state sponsored. Okay, it's happening, but there is no anti-white intent to it. And then, okay, well, it's happening and there's anti-white intent, but it's not as bad as you think it is. And okay, it's happening, there's anti-white intent, the state might have something to do with it. It's not bad. It is as bad as you think it is, but it is warranted. This is like the ladder you go through with an anti-white. Why give them that sort of leash? Instead, make it a short rope in a tall tree. Metaphorically. Purporting to show evidence of violence against white people in the country. The big picture. Trump, who cut all foreign assistance to South Africa, has embraced the false accusation. The false accusation of genocide. Now, here's the thing that I'm talking about here. One of my criticisms. Not just because genocide is unbelievable to the people we have to persuade. And this has been one of the biggest and most ferocious arguments that I have had to have over the years, because people get off on going to the worst of the worst of the worst. And it doesn't matter that they turn off our brothers and sisters. It doesn't matter that nobody believes that. It doesn't matter that they invoke in their audience the immediate memories of white people genociding Jews. It doesn't matter how bad it is for our efforts to reclaim our destiny from the anti-whites. They still want to use it. Well, now, since they use it so much, look at how easy it is for the anti-whites to say to our brothers and sisters, the people we have to persuade and convince to come over to the work that we are doing here, to come over to a focus on us and a rejection of, an active rejection of our victimization. Because they can say, where are the camps? Where are the starving people? Where are and don't bother making the argument to me, well, that you have to educate your audience that it really means, according to the United Nations. Shut the fuck up. You don't have that kind of, have you ever tried? I have. You don't have that time. You've got this much time to persuade our brothers and sisters. And now look at a tertiary negative consequence for the use of that phrase, white genocide. Here you have the media, the anti-whites. Do you think if it was harmful to the anti-whites that they would use it in their reportage? Of course not. They're using genocide because it is an extreme, because it's unbelievable, because the average white person is going to say, well, if there aren't camps, if they're not rounding them up, if they're not, now I'm going to go back to my job. Now I'm going to go back to whatever. Not only that, but even if some could be persuaded, it's going to be very few, of genocide, you're not going to be able to use genocide in America, in Canada, in the UK. If we were talking about what's happening to us in South Africa as white erasure, we can say with the same phrase, we can take All that's horror in South Africa encapsulated in the same phrase and use it right here at home. I mean, it's amazing that there aren't more white people who are able to say, whoa, shit, yeah, that's huge. We should be using that instead. We should be talking about what's happening in South Africa, in Rhodesia, in Paris as white erasure, because then we can use that even in Mayberry when they build a mosque. But no, you've got to wait now in Mayberry until they're gang raping and ritualistically killing the white people there. The hierarchy of the West is here, and we still have the low IQ want to argue otherwise. So embrace the false accusation of genocide against white South Africans as justification for granting them refugee status in the U.S. A South African court in February dismissed claims of a white genocide. Well, big surprise. So the maniac anti-white, bloodthirsty anti-whites in South Africa dismissed that there's a white genocide. What a surprise. Dismissed that they're victimizing white people on the basis of our birth. Unbelievable. The other thing that I might as well go ahead and give the other criticism. What are we not also talking about in South Africa? Anti-whiteism. Think of the power of this. If we were talking all along about white erasure in South Africa, anti-whiteism in South Africa, think of the loaded power of those terms, those concepts, when we talk about them in South Dakota, in South Carolina, in the south of France. Think about the power if white people had been smart enough to heed what we have to say here and had been using these terms with what's going on instead of communism or Marxism or worse. And what we're seeing is the cucks are running away with the game, calling it racism in South Africa. Even worse, if we had been using those two terms, white erasure and anti-whiteism in South Africa, think of the loaded power we would have when we wielded that here. Because if we were in a university in South Dakota, for example, and we started talking about the white erasure in the history department, it would immediately invoke the white erasure of white people in a bloodthirsty, a sanguinary way in South Africa. Can I get an amen for the genius of that? We are the only thinkers here for the white race. Everybody else wants to just dodder in. And we know the reality that so many people don't want to use what I can make this argument. You can clearly see. I mean, even a midwit should be able to see how powerful that is. But so many of the people in the white sympathetic sphere, the schmucks, for the most part, don't want to say anti-whiteism, white erasure, because they're jealous of me. That's what it comes down to it. They're jealous of you for the successes that we have in this community, where they have no successes. That's the only reason. Do these people care about white well-being? Of course not. Driving the news in a stunning scene reminiscent of the Oval Office showdown with Ukrainian President Zelensky, Trump asked for the lights to be dimmed before playing videos. I'm going to go ahead and go to the video right now. You are going to love this because Ramaphosa did not know this was coming. Ramaphosa and his delegation, he's looking out at his delegation like, what in the shit do I do? The issue, of course, is that Trump is an anomaly. This won't continue for anyone else but Donald Trump. This is the really scary part, and we can talk about that after we watch these videos. And I'll just leave you a hint right now, a little breadcrumb. The governments of the world are aware of white erasure. They're aware of how brutal that white erasure is in South Africa. Russia, Germany, United Kingdom, Canada, they all know how brutal, sanguinary, sadistic, demonic the white erasure is in South Africa, to a bloody decimal number. And they tell you it's not happening. That's coming for all of us. And an anomaly like Donald Trump, that's just going to point it out once here, once there, or whatever. Once it's gone, you're going to have governments that are going to deny that sanguinary butchering, raping of the white race all around the world as it happens in front of their faces. No one is coming to save us. We either become a people and defend ourselves as a people, attain individual well-being by way of the well-being of our people, by focusing on us, and we teach you how to do that, or all of our futures, all of our children, all your daughters and granddaughters' futures, all of your sons and grandsons' futures are what we are experiencing in South Africa and have been since 94. Never forget that. Now let's watch Trump kick ass. Okay, if you couldn't hear her, this garbage reporter, and again, what will it take for you to be convinced? She's asking Donald Trump, what will it take for you to be convinced that there is no white genocide? Again, should have been calling it white erasure. But what's it going to take for you to be convinced that it isn't happening? White people aren't being victimized at all in South Africa. Because that's what the reporter is really saying. They're just using the exaggeration. They're just using the hyperbole to straw man the argument that we're being victimized on the basis of our birth and something has to be done. The ass polyp here, Ramaphosa, colorectal cancer, Ramaphosa, says, let me answer that. I'm just going to step all over Trump. And he starts off here saying that it's going to take Trump listening to his cabinet officials. And specifically because this 60 IQ is so low tier, it's like his actual thought is, if a white person in my government tells Trump that there is no white genocide, white people aren't being victimized, if that's done, then it's obviously not happening. Because why would a white person ever? I mean, this is unbelievable stupidity.
President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talks between us on the quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying. I would say if there was...
So this dude is literally insulting the shit out of Trump. And I think Trump is holding back because he knows that he's about to lower the boom on this anti-white, bloodthirsty devil.
Was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture. He would not be with me. So it'll take him.
Oh, yeah. Why would they white person, whatever? White people sell each other out left and right. They don't have a people because they're focused on everybody else.
President Trump listening to their stories, to their perspective. That is the answer to your question.
But Mr. President, I must say that we have, we have thousands of stories talking about it. Sure. And we have documentaries, we have news stories, and that is Natalie here, somebody here to turn that? I could show you a couple of things, and it has to be responded to. Yeah, sure.
Look at it. He has no idea what's coming.
We have, let me see the articles, please, if you would, and turn the lights down. Turn the lights down and just
look at his face. He's looking at his delegation, right? Let me increase. Look at his face. He's looking at his delegation. And he's like, can you believe this? What is about to happen?
put this on. It's right behind you.
And look, he's making now he's squinting his eyes like, well, can you believe what is going to happen?
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you.
Look, now that he's immediately, as he sees, it is colleagues of his chanting to kill white people. Now he wants to try to stop the video from playing. He's turning back to Trump. He's like, well, let me try to explain away.
From the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are. So whatever you want to do, we can withdraw my membership from this useless parliament.
That's in their Congress or whatever it is.
Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act.
Now, when he's saying there, just by the by, keeping an eye on this for years, the killing has already long been happening, long been swept under the rug by the authorities, long been ignored. And again, if my reading is wrong, you check it out with the mainstream media. I know they have the answers for you. What this guy's talking about is when they finally finish off en masse the rest of the white race. Why haven't they done that? We've talked about that here before. We've explained why that hasn't already happened. It'll happen much faster in the rest of the West. It's not going to take as many years as it's taking in South Africa. So the sound that he's doing with his mouth there is not an African dialect. He is imitating the sound of the white man's semi-automatic and potentially fully automatic, two different modes, firearm, rifle, and in particular the AK probably. Look at this. People as far as the eye can see chanting this.
The man of D-Day is a white man. So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain.
Go after the white man. Harm the white man. They feel a terrible pain.
Because you attacked a white man. Not because Bashar and Soli will not be touched. They will be touched. No one.
Remember the context of what's happening right now. Cyril Ramaphosa, the anti-white demonic demon president of South Africa, who is overseeing, as have others in South Africa since '94, the butchering of the white population. And that's, of course, just the worst of it. There are infinite number of anti-white laws on the books in the country. Even Elon Musk can't get a license to do business because he has to turn over more than half of the business to a black resident of South Africa. That's how it works there. Check it out for yourself. Again, maybe I'm wrong. We know the ear is against the door. Cyril Ramaphosa is in the Oval Office with Donald Trump. He and his delegation did not know that Trump was going to be playing this video and breaking out a pile of article headlines about the butchery of white people on the basis of our birth in South Africa. He is stunned at this moment.
I was starting with this whiteness. You are cutting the throat of whiteness. You cannot shoot, kill, no one's law. Kill the brewer, the farmer. Kill the brewer, the farmer.
Again, another rally, people as far as the eye can see. Look at this one. What must the delegation for South Africa be thinking at this very moment, sitting in the Oval Office, and every other presidency in the United States, every other leader in the House, every other news media pundit, all conspired with them to pretend that none of this was happening. Never forget that, and never forget the reality that you are only just barely seeing a slit behind the curtain. Because as soon as this anomaly of Donald Trump is gone, all of this continues as it's going to continue anyhow, and is said from the highest echelon, from the Oval Office, to be said to not be happening. If that doesn't put a chill through you and a motivation to get off of the paths that fail and onto the path that succeeds, and to become a people before this is all of our realities across the totality of the West, then you are a misfit not deserving of life.
I'm saying to you, was not called for the killing of white people, at least for now. I can't guarantee the future.
Yeah, but, I mean, do you understand somebody watching that, especially as it gets shared on Twitter? They freak out. It sounds like a genocide.
Look at him sitting there, trying to figure out with those 60 IQ points what he's going to do. Those look like military. I've seen videos over the years of law enforcement and military doing the chance to kill the white people and to take their land and take their property. Again, though, maybe I was looking at something else. You'll have to check it out for yourself. We're going to shoot them with the machine gun, it says, translation. They're going to run. We're going to shoot them. They're going to run.
We will expropriate land without compensation, whether they like it or not. If they object, they can seek refugee in America.
So there he says right there, they're going to expropriate the land, whether they like it or not. If they don't like it, they can seek refuge in America.
Now this is very bad. These are burial sites right here. Burial sites. Over 1,000 of white farmers, and those cars are.
And he said white. I love that. Over 1,000 white farmers
lined up to pay love on a Sunday morning. Each one of those white things you see is a cross. And
look at this lying bastard. Turn around and he's like, are they crosses? Where did they be in my country?
There's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers, the family of white farmers. And those cars aren't driving. They're stopped there to pay respects to their family member who was killed. And it's a terrible sight. I've never seen anything like it. Both sides of the road, you have crosses.
Look at this clown, literally leaning forward in his chair like, I am seeing this for first time. Yeah, Samuski's right. Trump should have said to Ramaphosa, do you know that song? Why don't you sing it for us?
Those people were all killed.
Have they told you where that is, Mr. President?
Did you just hear that? He said, Ramaphosa said, have they told you where that is, Mr. President? He wants to look into it. This is such infuriating. And one way I'm looking at this, it's hilarious because this bastard is put on the spot and he's clearly lying. And it's like the lying of like a 7-year, not even younger. It's like the lying of a 4-year-old with cookie debris all over his or her face, saying, I have no idea. Could you tell me? You have any idea where the cookies went? I think I might.
No, I'd like to know where that is.
He said, I'd like to know where that is. He's the president of this country. He's been in that country for however many years he is old. He has no idea. Really? Sure.
This I've never seen.
This I've never seen, he said.
Okay. I mean, it's in South Africa this week.
We need to find out.
He just said, mumbled, we need to find out. He's been humiliated, and I fucking love it. Let's get 07s for Donald Trump on this day. For Donald Trump on this day, the 21st. Show this man, drop some crowns for the blonde king of the United States, president of the world, as ordained by the crown prince in Saudi Arabia, president of the world, humiliating this abject, anti-white, bloodthirsty animal, acting like he doesn't know what's happening in his country, his own political party, the speeches in his houses of government. This I don't know. This I have to try to discover what's happening.
Did you notice in this clip how Cyril Ramaphosa?
Now, this is a clip that Benny Johnson and his paid staff and etc. They put all the information together, so we might as well use it because we're not going to be getting that kind of money to have staff and people running things behind the show. It's just me and y'all. So Benny Johnson is a great example of one of the paths that is a failed path, which is the cuck path. So we'll listen to a little bit of what he has to say, and then the further exchange between Trump reporters and Ramaphosa.
Was lecturing President Trump. And then after President Trump played the empirical and demonstrable evidence of his crimes, he's sitting there squirming, wiggling, and aghast in the Oval Office. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what justice truly looks like. This is what social justice looks like. Donald Trump giving the left a taste of his own medicine.
So this, do you see the error that Benny John, the cucks, make? He's attempting to co-opt the concepts of the anti-whites. This is social justice. Social justice. Why can't you do that? Why can't you co-opt their phrases, their concepts? Because they have impregnated the minds of our brothers and sisters for the totality of their lives with the definitions, the emotions, the personalities, what you're supposed to feel for those for and those against, a total lifetime of it. You can't step in there and co-opt the concept for your own use. So please try to remember that out there, not only the cucks, but also the schmucks. You cannot take their concepts away from them.
South African president tried to claim that whites were not being killed in his...
Not only that, more importantly, more deeply, the cuck is living inside of the anti-white narrative. He is measuring behavior of what is moral or immoral according to the anti-white metric. You are not going to be able to recapture our destiny and prevent this from happening to all of us, what's happening in South Africa, by using the moral metric, it's immoral for us, of our victimizers, cucks.
His nation, Trump just humiliated him with a 5-minute clear video proof, leaving him speechless. Their burial sites, thousands of white farmers. I would like to...
They're not burial sites. Each cross represents a person. They're not all buried along the side of the road.
See where that is. Well, it is your country. Strange that you don't know. things got really intense as well multiple other times in this meeting. Wild stuff. Donald Trump flipping through news articles showing the number of whites that have been killed in South Africa, as the president of South Africa looks like he has the single greatest regret boomerang karma that has ever existed. Check this out.
What would you like President Ramaphosa to do about the situation that we've just seen on the screen?
I don't know. Look.
And that's an interesting answer by Trump. Why do you think he said that? I don't know if it's the exact same reporter, but it sounds like the same reporter that initially had asked the question about what's it going to take for you to no longer believe this falsehood of white people being victimized on the basis of their birth. She's now asking, I believe it is the same reporter, well, what would you like him to do about what you just showed us all on the television? And this is where he's going to break out these articles as well. Why do you think, tag me as No White Guilt, get involved. Why do you think that Trump is saying, I don't know what he should do? Is it because Trump actually has some thoughts and he's going to be revealing those cards soon? Or what is it? Tag me with your thoughts as you watch.
These are articles over the last few days. Death of people.
And I gotta remember Annette Kennelly. Now, there are a lot of people that Traditional Mike in Australia, because he is one of us, he loves our white race, he's white positive, and he is concerned with our suffering anywhere on planet Earth. And but I gotta mention specifically Annette, because Annette was murdered right as she became aware of this community and obtained the book and was getting ready to dive into white well-being when she was butchered by anti-whites in South Africa. Never forget Annette Kennelly.
Death, 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 horrible death, death. I don't know. To pick anyone, white South Africans are fleeing because of the violence and racist laws. And this is all, I mean, I'll give these to you. So when you
imagine if all these years back, I'm pushing anti-white, anti-whiteism, if the white sympathetic sphere, the people who are race conscious, and now we recognize them as schmucks, if they had, instead of rejecting me, rejecting my arguments, rejecting the victories that we have, if they had all adopted it instead, because their real motivation had been for our well-being. All of these articles, in order to speak to us, and we're the people who have to be spoken to be manipulated, remember, that's the power that's in our hands. You're welcome. I revealed that for everybody. They would be using anti-white. Imagine how much further we would be along.
When you say, what would I like to do? I don't know what to do. Look at this. White South African couple say that they were attacked violently. And,
President Trump, when will you go and see for yourself if it is?
well, I could do that. Look, here's burial sites all over the place.
Some sounded like a South African reporter yelling, why don't you go see for yourself?
These are all white farmers that are being buried. And he asks about.
If you can't tell already, these anti-white blacks in South Africa, in their voice, I hear deep contempt. Ramaphosa literally answered a question for Donald Trump. And in his answer, he said, Donald Trump needs to learn to listen better. Folks, that's going to be the contempt held for us in every single, it's already there, where anti-whites hold enough power. It's deep contempt. Your pain doesn't matter at all. It's a joke. It's funny to them. They have such contempt for white people that they can't even hide it when they come to the United States, because they run the totality of the show there. They are drunk on their hubris, and you're seeing the evidence of it. Somebody shouting out, some South African black, anti-white black shouting out, why don't you go see for yourself? Shut your face.
A jet that was given. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You know, you are so bad. You're such a bad reporter.
Ramaphosa is still pretending that he's somehow ignorant of what's happening, and he's held his hand out there in an effort like, can I see these? Can I now be informed of what's happening in my country?
Look at
his smile on his face. Why is he smiling at that moment? He's smiling out of nervousness and of fear. Very natural emotion, very readable on his face as well. I'm a master at that.
One after another, this family was wiped out. I'm just looking.
Whole family wiped out.
Get everything on President Ramaphosa. Your reaction to those videos,
Well, I think the videos are so. No. When you look at the videos, I mean, how does it get worse? And these are people that are officials, and they're saying that kill the white farmer and take their land. That's what. And I have other friends in South Africa. I have people that left. One in particular that says you can't go there. He said they want to take your land. They take your land and they kill you. It's okay, and they say it's okay to do. Now we're going to talk about it, but this is a tremendous look. This is story.
Can you see? This is the third time now Ramaphosa has leaned in like, oh, let me see, because I might change my opinion about what's happening in South Africa. A third, and obviously it's a lie that he doesn't know.
These are all people that recently got killed.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it can get any worse. These are, and you know, the men that you saw, the people that you saw in that movie, those are officials. Those are people that were in office.
Matt pointing out that Trump's face is red. It does appear that his blood pressure is up over this whole exchange and incident and obvious lying. And the perfidy of the American press, who is anti-white and steering the entire conversation in a direction to criticize Trump over other issues and deflect from the victimization of white people in a country we created.
They had one march, they had a dance in your parliament, whatever you may call it, legislature.
Well, let me clarify that.
I find it particularly interesting, in a Shakespearean way, that Elon Musk is in the room. Elon Musk's family, of course, hunted in South Africa. They had to flee South Africa. His beautiful parents, his mother's been on our program before.
It's amazing when the system behind the scenes is so evidenced that they are running the resistant media. When the mother of Elon Musk, I could run into her car and she still wouldn't talk to me. I could have a traffic accident with her. She wouldn't even get out of the car to talk with me. But when you are the fake resistance, when you are the merchant right and you have agents and they use the same lingo as Hollywood for how they arrange things and how they put people on lists for who's going to be called up and interviewed, they can get things like the mother of Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, to come on the show for an interview to give legitimacy to this cuck garbage that is spewed out of this guy's mouth.
Hey, Musk. Elon's standing there, a subject matter expert in this, in the White House. Spotted Elon Musk. Reports about Elon Musk straying away from the administration are false. Elon's been very outspoken about the white genocide happening in South Africa. Donald Trump saying Elon's from South Africa. I don't want to get Elon involved. That's all I have to do is get him another thing to do. This is what Elon wanted. He came here on a different subject, sending rocks to Mars. He likes that subject better. So I don't think it's fair to him to try and drag him in. But Elon Musk obviously really, really pushing the agenda against the genocide. Why is it okay? Why are these policies?
Again, do you notice how if we would have been listened to for all of these years instead of rejected out of jealousy, and it would have been white erasure, Benny Johnson would have been saying white erasure, and then that term would have been loaded with the atrocities in Rhodesia, in South Africa, anywhere else. And then when we used it, when road signs are changed, when our history is rewritten, when our statues are pulled down, we bring it to the conversation like an atom bomb. But no, couldn't be listened to. They're too jealous.
Policy is okay. I mean, you know, so it's called apartheid. The policy is in South Africa. And
get ready for what he's about to say. Inside, as a total cuck that he is, inside the anti-white narrative, here he's taking out the anti-white immoral metric stick so that he can measure behavior. And now it is, well, the whites were evil for apartheid. Really? And now the blacks there are evil for apartheid. It's wrong in both cases.
What has happened here is the exact flip and revert. Actually, it's far worse than apartheid. The number of racialized and racist laws in South Africa are worse now than they were during the apartheid days.
That's true. But still drawing the moral equivalency inside the anti-white narrative. You can't yield anything. You can't be inside the anti-white narrative.
That's what's been proven out by multiple reports. There are more laws on the books that are racialized now than there were during apartheid. So things have gotten far worse under the Marxist regime. But this
Marxist regime instead of anti-white regime. Instead of the ideology being anti-whiteism, it's Marxism, it's communism. Look, people will say, who don't have the same processing power, will say things like, well, isn't it a good thing? Aren't we walking in the right direction? No, you're walking inside the anti-white narrative. All of these tools, all of these stones, all of the building material that you think is going to create a better edifice in the future. It's in the right direction. We're building the foundation, aren't we, Jason? No, all of that is porous and prone to failure, and it will fail as it has failed in the past.
This gets whitewashed, for lack of a better term, by globalist elites because of everything from white guilt, anti-colonialism, but just straight up Marxism. This is it's a Marxist regime that's in charge of South Africa, and they want to retain control. So this is just their control vector. It's the same control vector they want to bring here to this country.
It's anti-whiteism is here. And if we were calling it anti-whiteism, it would be visible across the totality of the West. Instead, what the cucks are being told by their merchants on the right is that, oh, that could come here. They want to bring that here. So it's always something out in the future. Imagine, again, if you could live, like I mentioned on another gathering, if you could live hundreds and hundreds of years. Imagine having heard now for the last 100, 200 years that, oh, what they're doing is going to happen here. And you're looking back at all of the carnage of anti-whiteism and you're like, what do you mean it's going to happen? When then does it happen? When do we finally fight back against it? Where do we see the evidence that now it's here and we have to fight back? This is the problem, one of the big problems of focusing on the other rather than ourselves. And I'm going to be talking about that very shortly.
So what Trump is doing here is remarkable. South African president signs controversial land seizure law. Wow. Would you look at that? This is being posted during the visit of Donald Trump. What is happening right now in the Oval Office is incredible. Trump showed video of the genocide of white farmers and then absolutely smoked NBC News when they tried to pivot to talk about a Qatari.
I mean, is there no question about this guy's just another propped up artificial resistance to our victimization? He is not as bad as Jeremy Hambley, for example, but he's damn near.
Jet. Trump flipped out and flipped through fat stacks of articles about the white farmer genocide. Then he laid into South African leader telling him, you let them take the land for no payment, handed him the stack of news articles. You're taking people's land away. In many cases, they're being executed.
He's talking that quiet. I did not turn him down that quietly.
Explain that exactly. Let's go to Donald Trump losing his mind on the NBC News reporter, absolutely nuking an NBC News reporter. This is the boss.
What do you respond? You know, you to get out of here. What does this have to do with the Qatari jet? They're giving the United States.
I love how he said, "You ought to get out of here." I would like if he were not a businessman, but were an actual statesman, Could you imagine what some of our actual statesmen would do? I think some of our statesmen would physically fight some of these reporters, not just order them to be removed.
Air Force a jet, okay? And it's a great thing. We're talking about a lot of other things. It's NBC trying to get off the subject of what you just saw. You are a real, you're a terrible reporter. Number one, you don't have what it takes to be a reporter. You're not smart enough. But for you to go into a subject about a jet that was given to the United States Air Force, which is a very nice thing. They also gave $5.1 trillion worth of investment in addition to the jet. Go back. You ought to go back to your studio at NBC because Brian Roberts and the people that run that place, they ought to be investigated. They are so terrible the way you run that network. And
he's looking, staring at the floor. Ramaphosa, Cyril. I guess I should just call him Cyril to really denigrate him. His first name, Cyril, looking at the floor, looking at his delegation, who all are completely bewildered. Could you imagine? There could be 10 of them in there, and they still don't have 200 IQ points to rub together.
Disgrace. No more questions from you. Go ahead. Go ahead, talk about that. His name is Peter something. He's a terrible reporter. Quiet. Let's go.
Thank you so much. President Trump, Adam Zalton from EMC.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I voted for. I voted for an end to systemic racism.
Did you just hear that? I think that's about the end of the video. Benny Johnson, the cuck. You have the two paths that you're allowed to walk in resistance to our victimization: the cucks and the schmucks. The cucks deny that there is race is a consideration in our victimization, except in the case of South Africa. And then how do they word it? Well, they are against systemic racism. Systemic racism, which you cannot take away from the anti-whites because you cannot take it out of the lifetime of training. And not only just training in a classroom, but training in entertainment where it's emotional, where it's getting down into the deepest parts of our psyche, our subconscious mind. So the cucks and the cuck represented here, Team Cuck represented by Benny Johnson there, he voted to get rid of systemic racism. Good luck with that. So do you still think that we're marching in the right direction if cucks are celebrating opposition to systemic racism and the schmucks are celebrating saying the word enter? Because if you do, you're an idiot, but you don't have to remain one.
Use their tactics against them. It's genius by President Trump. This is genius. We've never seen anything like it. Donald Trump on a rampage to reset the world and the global order. This is what fighting systemic racism actually looks like.
This is what fighting systemic racism looks like. What a piece of shit. Sorry for my language. That's just the way it is. White erasure and anti-whiteism should have been adopted decades ago because it was working. I should not have been excluded. I should not have been mocked for using these terms. It worked in people's lives. It worked when I used them in countless variations of scenarios, with blue collar, with white collar, with friends, with family, with coworkers, with strangers. My only objective was to move the ball toward the recapture of our destiny. And so I only retained what worked. Instead, even to this day, rejected, ostracized, mocked, etc., lied about. But real quickly, I want to point out, I want to look for your tags to see if anybody has shared any of their thoughts on this exchange, which is completely epic. And when I saw it happen, I was laughing my ass off, and I was cheering for Trump. Totally amazing of the champion to run over this Cyril the way he did and humiliate him the way he did. And revealing, as I pointed out, the absolute contempt that anti-whites in South Africa have for white people. Even so much contempt that one of their reporters shouts over Trump, saying, well, why don't you come and see for yourself? A female. And then Cyril, of course, taking a question away from, who the hell are you? Cyril, taking a question away from Donald Trump in the Oval Office. So the big point, though, is to focus on the fact that this has been going on since 94. They started in earnest. And all of the governments of the world, your professors, your teachers, your mom and dad, the neighbors across the street, all of the anti-whites, but most importantly here, the governmental institutions have been telling you that this isn't happening. White people are not being victimized on the basis of their birth. And then anti-whites do, as I shared with you. And then if it is happening, it's not as bad as you think it is. And if it is as bad as you think it is, it's not based on race. And if it is based on race, then it should be done. It's deserved. The white people deserve it. For all of these years, Trump is an anomaly created by the anti-whites in the Democrat Party who wanted to destroy him. This would not have happened if he would have won that second term, which was stolen from him, in my opinion. He is only angry like this because they tried to destroy him and his family and destroy all of his businesses and accomplishments, etc. So you're getting a look behind the curtain of what the governments of the world actually know is happening. This should chill you to the marrow of your bone. You should realize instantaneously that we have to do something very different from what's gone before, the cuckery and the schmuckery. Because if we don't, we're going to all across the West be suffering the same atrocities as our brothers, as we are, brothers and sisters in South Africa, and the government, just like there, the police departments, the state governments or the equivalent thereof will all be saying it's not happening. And if it is happening, it's not as bad as you think. And if it is as bad as you think, it's not based on race. And if it is based on race, you deserve it. That's the future for all of us. This is, it's easy to look at what Trump just did and throw a party over this humiliation. And while the truth is out. Remember, the truth is a virginal teenage girl. She cannot defend herself. It doesn't, this is one of the deepest arguments that I've had with organization leaders in the white sympathetic sphere, content creators over the years. They've argued forever that we just need to get the truth out. You just need to get the truth out. And I said, that presupposes a lot on the part of the audience, that just none of which is true. It presupposes that there is even a magical element to truth. And there isn't one. This is not the way that Westmen think. This is the way that children think. You aren't even able to articulate how our audience, the people we need to convince and persuade to become white positive, how the truth is received by them and all of the multifarious components it has to be able to work in them to motivate. I mean, it is so preposterous. But hey, just don't let others hear from me. Just slander me. And don't let me get up to the lectern, because every time you do, you know what happens. Every time you do, people get persuaded. You're poisoning the well and etc. All that you can. We're running out of time. And you can blame these people. You can blame the people who are saying the truth is out. They've all just got to get the truth out. Well, this is not some great victory. As much as you want to feel like it is, as much as I would like to feel like it is, this is a peek behind the curtain. Next week, the anti-whites will be acting like this didn't even happen. Tomorrow, the pressure of anti-whiteism will manipulate all of the vast majority of the audience to turn away from this peek behind the curtain. This is for you. This is for you to really come to grips with how real, dangerous, bloodthirsty anti-whiteism is. This is what they do. This is how they think. You want to keep measuring things by their metrics? This is the systemic racism I voted for getting rid of. You want to keep focusing on other groups of human beings, even though that's never worked for us.
Let me see the articles, please, if you would. And turn the lights down. Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you. Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are. So whatever you want to do, we can withdraw my membership from this useless parliament.
Yes, honorable member. Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Shoot to kill, Namaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Pa, pa. The man of D-Day in PE is a white man. So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain because you have touched a white man. Not because Mashama and Soli will not be touched. They will be touched, no one. But we are starting with this whiteness. We are cutting the throat of whiteness.
Shoot to kill, Namaza. Kill the brewer, the farmer. Kill the brewer, the farmer. Pa, pa, pa. Shoot to kill, Namaza. Kill the brewer, the farmer. Kill the brewer, the farmer. Pa,
I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm saying to you, was not called for the killing of white people, at least for now. I can't guarantee the future.
Yeah, but, I mean, you understand somebody watching that, especially as it gets shared on Twitter, they freak out. It sounds like a genocidal.
Who will expropriate land without compensation, whether they like it or not. If they object, they can seek refugee in America.
Now this is very bad. These are burial sites right here. Burial sites. Over 1,000 of white farmers, and those cars are lined up to pay love on a Sunday morning. Each one of those white things you see is a cross, and there's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers, the family of white farmers. And those cars aren't driving, they're stopped there to pay respects to their family member who was killed. And it's a terrible sight. I've never seen anything like it. Both sides of the road you have crosses. Those people were all killed.
There's nothing you can do. There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land.
Yes.
South African occupy land. That's who we are.
Honorable
do whatever
member,
you want to do.
Speaker,
You can withdraw my membership from this useless parliament.
Honorable. Yes, honorable member.
Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act.
Shoot to kill. Nyamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa, brr, pa, pa. To kill. Nyamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer.
The mayor of DA in PE is a white man. So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain because you have touched a white man. Not because Mashaba and Soli will not be touched. They will be touched, don't worry. But we are starting with this whiteness. We are cutting the throat of whiteness.
Shoot to kill. Yamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa, brr, pa. Shoot to kill. Yamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa, brr, pa, pa.
I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm saying to you, we have not called for the killing of white people, at least for now. I can't guarantee the future.
Yeah, but I mean, you'd understand somebody watching that, especially as it gets shared on Twitter, they freak out. It sounds like a genocidal call.
Cry babies.
Ulipul sizokushaya uzotutshulwa uliphuno sizokushaya uzobaleka tu sizobadula bazobaleka tu sizobadula
who will expropriate land without compensation, whether they like it or not. If they object, they can seek refuge in America.